If you're tired of cutting carrots the same old way, I'm going to show you some fun ways you can mix it up with different types of cuts. Keep on watching if you want to learn how to cut carrots. Now, this is an organic carrot, and they say that a lot of the nutrients are in the skin layer of organic produce. However, when it looks a little like it's oxidizing here on the outside or might have bad spots, I like to peel it off so that it's not bitter. So I'm going to go ahead and just give it a quick peel. This is an OXO peeler, and it's one of my favorite vegetable peelers. I gave it a little extra peeling on this one spot that had a little bit more of a bad spot. So there we go, there's our nicely peeled carrot. So now I'm going to nip off this little end piece here and this end piece. But just like with our onion, I don't want to take too much of this off because this is where the seed of the carrot came to life, and again, that's supposed to be energetically a good part of the vegetable to consume, so I'm just taking the bare minimum off. This is a very thin little piece. So the first cut that I want to show you is a matchstick. Now there are two different ways that you can even matchstick. Matchsticks are generally about 1.5 inches long, or about this long. You can either do it like this, where you're actually like taking a little piece like this and squaring it off, where with my safe holding hand, I'm gonna thinly cut off a little piece from the one side, a very thin little piece. Now that I have this flat, stable side, I'm gonna put that down on the cutting board and cut off another thin little piece. I'm going to cut off another thin little piece from the other side and the other side. So now I'm left with this little rectangular piece. And of course this is like the small end of the carrot. You could use the thicker end of the carrot to make it easier. And then I'm going to cut this into little thin, what's known as planks. So I can probably get 4 out of here. These are about somewhere between 1/8 of an inch and 1/16 of an inch thick. These are pretty thin. And then I'm going to lay them flat and slice these into the same width, so that now I'm left with these little beautiful matchsticks. And then I would just repeat that with the remaining plank. Now, another way to do this is, this might be more of a Japanese style that I also learned when I was at the Kushi Institute, and that's where you would slice thinly on a diagonal. And this is where you really just want to take your time. There's no rushing here. You know, when you're learning new skills, just take your time. Like, you don't have to go fast. But the idea is that you want to angle your knife, and you might have to play around with the angle of the knife so that you're getting thin diagonals that are, again, about 1.5 inches long and pretty thin. You know, these are maybe not 1/16 of an inch, but 1/8 of an inch thick. And then once you have a bunch of these are called panels, then you can flatten them out like a little deck of cards. So you're going to take all your panels and keep them together if you can and line them up. And once you have them fanned out into your little deck of cards, then you can take your knife and slice up through lengthwise. And here, note that I have the tip of the knife anchored on the board, because again, this is a low style of cutting, so you don't need to be lifting your knife and going in a circular motion. We're going to review that shortly with some other types of vegetables. In this case, let's just keep the tip of the knife anchored on the board. I'm walking my holding hand back, almost like a little spider. It's walking back with me as my knife gets closer. I've got my piano fingers going on. And voila, now I've got very similar little matchsticks. So those are just two different methods to achieve a very similar effect. As long as I have our carrot sliced on a diagonal, I'll just show you that you can also just make diagonal thin cuts depending on the dish you're making. If you're stir frying or sauteing, you just might want pieces that are like this, like just sort of flat, thin, diagonal ovals. And I also want to show you a Japanese style of cutting. This is called the roll cut. And the roll cut is used if you're making more of a stew and you want these sort of triangular, irregular looking pieces. So this basically, you take your flat side facing up, and you can see like the top part of the cut right there. That's where you want to start your cut. So with the flat side facing up and holding your carrot securely, I'm going to slice on an angle. And that's going to give me a piece that has these two interesting edges. I don't know if you can see that there, but I've got this flat side and then that flat side going directly off of this other piece. That's just kind of a nice, fun little cut that again can be used for Japanese stews. Let me show you that one more time. So flat side facing up, knife is angled in, cut straight down, and you end up with this kind of interesting little Japanese cut. It's called the roll cut. Now I want to demonstrate a small, medium, and large dice on this carrot. So this is another one that I've peeled, again, just to avoid the potentially bitter flavor of the skin. And I'm going to nip off the ends. And what I'm going to do with this carrot is I'm going to cut the length in half. So cutting it right down the middle. Let's work with the larger part. Now this carrot has a split. I intentionally used this carrot because I want to show you guys you'll be encountering carrots like this. Sometimes they split like that. But no worries, we're still going to use this. It's fine. We're just going to thinly slice that side. Take off that thin little piece and then lay our flat side down. Thin off another piece and do this on all 4 sides to leave us with a nice rectangular piece of carrot. So now we can create our planks. So this carrot is about 1 inch wide. So I'm going to cut maybe 3 or 4 planks out of this. It depends how small you want your dice to be. But generally, the classic small dice is about 1/4 inch wide. This is a little bit smaller than that probably, but here we have our 3 planks. I'm going to take a plank and lie it flat, and out of this width of a plank, I can get 3 more cuts and make this into what's known as batons. Then out of the batons, I'm going to take my batons, which are basically 1/4 inch around now, and I'm going to cut them into 1/4 inch square. There's your small dice. To make a large or medium dice, you do the exact same method, but you're making them into bigger pieces. So a medium dice is more like 1/2 inch square, and a large dice is about 3/4 inch square. And then there's the classic rounds. Oftentimes we just want a round carrot shape. So to do that, we just take our peeled carrot and slice round circles that are maybe 1/4 inch in thickness. Now that you know a variety of ways that you can cut carrots, you're going to have more fun than ever in your kitchen. You'll be trying sliced carrots in stir fries, adding little diced carrots to your soups, maybe even adding some roll cuts in with other root vegetables to make a stew. Wherever your creativity takes you, I hope you enjoy cutting your carrots. See you the next time.